Hey YouTube, doing a quick comparison on these three tool carts that I've got here at my shop. To the left I've got a US General 5 drawer, in the center I've got a Matco 7 drawer that I recently picked up, and to the right I've got a older single drawer Matco cart. All three of these carts are great. I've been using them for quite a while, well besides the 7 drawer that I recently picked up about 4 or 5 months ago, but I think working out of it for 5 months or so I've formed a really good opinion on it. I love the box, it's great. Just want to do a quick comparison because a lot of people always ask me what tool cart should I buy, what should I use for home, what should I use for the shop. And honestly, out of all three of these, I really like the 7 drawer the most. And let me give you the reason being for that. The shop I'm working out of is pretty small, and once you have a couple of cars in here, it's pretty tight, especially if you're working on big jobs and you've got, transmission out or something like that. So it can get hectic and messy in here, so I really like this cart. It's got 4 casters on it. You can swivel it around any way you want. You can also add those casters to that cart and kind of do the same thing, but the size difference in the Matco cart, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be much, but it was well worth it, in my opinion, because I had a similar cart that I used. I had this one at home, brought this thing in just to kind of keep nuts and bolts and stuff like that in while I was doing a big job, so they don't go walking around the shop. And I found myself working out of this box more than a Harbor Freight cart. So I looked into options. I was going to add another drawer to this thing and just work out of that, but I found a good deal on this thing on OfferUp and couldn't pass it, so I went and bought it. Absolutely love the box. Absolutely love this one, but I just feel like it's a little bit bigger in my shop, and I decided to move all my tools into this one. I'm still keeping this thing. I'm not going to get rid of it. Still keeping this one. I'm actually probably going to give this one to my cousin that's going to be helping me out here at the shop. He can build his own tool set and start using that for the time being until he buys a box, or he can just keep it. I mean, we'll figure that out when we get down that road. But quick comparison, I love both of these boxes. A lot of people always ask me, what do you recommend buying as a starting off tech or mechanic or whatever you want to do? And my money's on the Harbor Freight, on the US General. I've had this thing for about 10 years now, and it's held up just fine. It's been with me at 3 different shops, not including the shop I'm working out of now, which is my own. I worked at 2 mechanic shops, Infinity and another independent, and a fabrication shop, so this box has been moved around quite a bit. I actually moved it a couple of times, loaded up with tools, which the first time I emptied it all out, and it's kind of left the light stuff in there, but I had the thing strapped down on my trailer with 400 or 500 pounds worth of tools in it, and it's been fine. It has had some battle scars. I mean, it's got some damage here and there. It's an older toolbox. It's seen a lot. No complaints. Still holds up just fine. The drawers work perfect, and they still open and lock and everything. And yeah, I've had this thing for quite a while. Still rolls just fine. The casters work. I mean, everything's perfect. The only thing that did go out was the struts on it, which I could have replaced, but I just decided to take them off and fold this over the top. Especially working out of my own shop, no one's going to be in here. It still locks if you want it to, but I never lock my box in here anyway. Box has been great. The one thing I do have a complaint about on the Matco cart is it doesn't have the locking detents on the drawers, so if you're moving this thing around aggressively or something and it hits a crack or something, these drawers tend to they could swing open. I mean, these are pretty tight, but I know on this one, this is an older one, this one is pretty loose, so if it was loaded down with a lot of stuff, it would slide open. So just be mindful of that if you buy one of these carts, that they don't have the detent. I really missed that feature from the Harbor Freight cart. But other than that, no complaint. Just be mindful when you're rolling this thing around, especially near a car. You don't want that drawer to slide open and scratch a customer's car or something like that, or even scratch your own car. But great box all around, and I'll take you on a quick little tour on this thing. Right now it's just kind of a catch-all for extra tools or stuff that I don't use all the time, like tape measure and stuff like that. I got some chrome sockets in here. This is a mixed match of Snap-on and Craftsman. I've got another Snap-on set. These are just US General. I recently picked these up because I was working on a Olds 455, and I was tearing the engine apart, and I needed 12-point SAE socket, so I just ran out to Harbor Freight, bought some cheapies. They work fine, no complaints. This is Astro Pneumatic. These are metric super shallows. They work great. They're quite a bit shallower than your normal socket, and you can also put a wrench on the end of it if need be for extra clearance. Right here I've got a set of Astro impact torques that are a little bit stubby. Great for working on Volkswagens or Beamers or stuff like that. Back here I've got an extra set of, they're pretty much all Macs, but there's a couple mismatched ones in there. Mac Allens, basically. I picked these up at a yard sale for like $5 or $10 or something. Pair of cheap pry bars, snap-on trim tool. I use this thing for everything, but I've got two more. Scraper, just some junk. My Milwaukee charger. This thing does both M18 and M12. I just keep it in here and plug it in wherever I need it. Just some junk. I mean, this thing pretty much became a catch-all. Extra wrenches, stuff like that, picks, screwdrivers, another pair of pliers. Here I've got some wire brushes, a caliper spreader. This is a great tool. This is rebranded. You can buy this off of Amazon. I think Astro or Gray Pneumatic or someone makes it, but you can buy it quite a bit cheaper than buying it off the Matco truck. Torque sticks, which I really never use anymore. Extensions, more extensions. This is a Matco set. I've got the longer one in my other box in the Matco cart. Some extras. I've got more. I actually found this in a jet ski I purchased. This was in the little trunk of it, and it's a Mac spark plug socket, so I thought that was kind of cool. Kept that, some pens, stuff like that. This drawer, I've got some extra pliers, tin snips. I actually found this set in the car that I bought too. So free tools are always nice. Keep them. You never know when you need them. If you need to modify them or anything like that, good to have. But this has been a good set. It is a cheaper set. It's a Pittsburgh and it looks pretty old. I can't remember the last time. I don't know if you can even get these in a roll-up case anymore at Harbor Freight. Some impact adapters for impact driver. Keep those in there. I've got plenty of those around the shop. In here, I keep my Sawzall drill bits, bearing packing tools. I just bought this one. This one's pretty cool. You fill it up with grease, and then you don't have to deal with the mess that this makes. I believe this is a Lyle brand. Lyle or Greer wrench. I can't remember, but it was about $20. I think I picked it up at Napa or something, or Napa O'Reilly, somewhere around there. But I'm curious to see how that'll work, because this thing just makes a mess. Some polishing bonnets, stuff like that. Another LED flashlight for the Milwaukee stuff. Extra air hose or airline fittings, stuff like that. I never really use that anymore. Down here I got a couple blow molded cases. I've got another junkyard bag that I keep in here. I have a junkyard bag in my truck, but it's nice to have another one in case I don't drive my truck and need to run out to the yard. This is just a smaller one for smaller things. So just cheapies that you don't really care about if you lose them. This is a oil filter wrench set. It's got like 15, 18 pieces or 17. Does just about everything besides the newer Toyotas that I ran across that have the little, you use a little aluminum one, sorry, that has the locking tab. So this is a pretty good set. It was pretty pricey, but definitely needed if you're going to be a lube tech or something like that. I don't really use it a whole lot. I don't do that stuff here at the shop. Got a leak down tester, old Matco, still works great, no complaints. I've got my ball joint press and adapters. I'm sure you guys seen this kind of stuff. This is a cheap adapter set that I bought off of eBay or Amazon, but it works well. Can't complain for the price. I think I paid $50 for that. So good deal. All my neighbors always use it. There's a couple other shops in here. This is a Cornwell ball joint press. It came with some adapters. I bought this thing used. Works great. I absolutely love it. Well recommended, but see if you can find one used. I want to say OTC makes this, but everyone else rebrands it. Great kit, no complaints, very sturdy, very strong. Much better than the Harbor Freight, if you can find a good deal on that. pick that up. It'll save you. And that's just about it. Box is loaded up with old stickers and, you know, cool stuff like that. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't want to get rid of it. It's just so cool. On the side, I just keep like some carb cleaner, brake cleaner, stuff like that. More stickers here. And the side tray over here just becomes a catch-all for stuff. This is a carb rebuild kit for my C10. I was doing the brakes on the truck, so I had to bleed it. This should be in here, so we'll just set that in there. Just some junk. Pretty much all junk in here. But great box. If anyone's looking at buying one of these, highly recommend it. I've had it for a long time. I've used it at home, used it at 3 different shops, and I used it here. Well, I'm gonna use it here. I think I'm gonna set it up for more shop things, you know, have some supplies in here, clips, fasteners, things like that. So we'll see how that goes. I do want to get a bigger home-based toolbox. Maybe I might go out and pick up a Harbor Freight 72-inch or something for the near future. That might help out. My shop's an absolute mess right now. I do have another Snap-on cart over here. So I was thinking of getting rid of that and getting a Harbor Freight 72, but I'll do a tour on that later on. Maybe when I clean up the shop, because right now it's just an absolute mess. I've got an engine there, I've got a couple jet skis I'm working on, and so on and so forth. But yeah, stay tuned. I will take you on a tour on the other box and maybe show you the rest of my tools here at the shop. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Have a good night.